Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It is a Monday episode, which means Joseph is here. Jay Hayes here. Dallas is in
Whale's vagina.
Oh, San Diego.
That's right.
Wow. Jake on the ones and twos on a Monday. Plenty to talk about. If you're a Yankee fan, I'd probably hang around for this one. A lot of Aaron Judge fellatio will be going down.
We want Soto. We want Soto.
What a bunch of assholes. But yeah, so you know what? Maybe if you are a Yankee fan, maybe don't stick around. Because between the fucking God, like my tweet, I mute. This is my new thing, Dallas. I mute the conversation, so I'll tweet something.
So you're gonna start a fire and then fucking bail.
100%. Yeah,
you are such a scumbag.
I throw a fucking concussion grenade in the cafeteria and just be like, nope, see ya. So that's my new thing, because I don't troll Yankee. That's what like Yankee fans complain now, that I don't troll them anymore. They're like sad. It's weird. They're like, why don't you talk shit about us anymore? I'm like, because I don't really care. But I did have a tweet that I think last time I checked, we were at almost 500 replies and 2 million views, but I didn't see any of them. I didn't see any of them. It was Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton was at the plate, and he hit a ball. It looked nice off the bat. Like we could easily parlay this into a conversation about 2.3 million views, 498 replies, so just shy of 500. You could make the conversation about, are the balls dead? And Dallas has done extensive research with this. Year to year, I feel like we haven't really talked about the balls this year, maybe because, I don't know. It's
research still alive and well. Research still being done every single day. Data still being poured over every single day.
Yeah. So Giancarlo Stanton hits this ball. The swing looks great. I believe it was Blake Trinan that was pitching. It is Blake Trinan. Looks like it's massacred. It is a good 45 to 50 feet in front of the fence. The entire Yankee Stadium just on their feet, screaming like this thing is in the fifth deck. And all I said was Yankee Stadium losing their shit over a flyout that was 40 feet in front of the warning track. Not a proud moment. And you would have thought that I said tear down Yankee Stadium and piss on George Steinbrenner's grave. I mean, I just said it's not a proud moment. You guys look like a bunch of idiots out there. It's not nothing personal. I would have said this about any fan base. It just happened to be the Yankees, and I happen to be a Red Sox fan, so you guys take it a particular way that it didn't need to be taken. But that was just kind of like the first moment of these people looking like idiots over the weekend, because in the midst of chanting, "We want Soto," poor Trent Grisham is up there just trying to fucking have a nice at bat, trying to get his team on the board here. I believe they were losing 3-2 at the time. It was a 3-run home run to make it 5-3. Does that sound right? Yeah.
Correct.
You know what? I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up because justice for Trent. This man was. It always hurts your feelings to be the throw-in in any trade, but to be the guy that, hey, like I'm on your side. I'm on the Yankees. Like I'm on the team, and you guys are chanting for someone. Like, what the fuck? Here it is.
The crowd chanting, "We want Soto." I think he knows it too. Grisham. That ball is right to right, and it is way out of here. Trent Grisham, 3-run home run.
The way that I would have ran around the bases being like, fuck you, people. Fuck you. We want who? We want Trent. That's who we want. Trent Grisham. That's who you wanted. Suck it, baby. Suck it.
When will we get a player to lean in to that? Where a player shows up and is like, you know what? No.
Javi Baez.
We're not going to do this. You hated me. You gave me the fucking "we want Soto" shit. No, so today when I walk out of this,
I'm surprised it wasn't Donaldson.
Today when I walk out of this dugout, like, you're going to kiss my ass. You're not going to. No, I'm not signing your autograph. I'm not anything. You're going to piss off, and I'm not entertaining you at all. When's that going to happen?
Josh Donaldson was the guy to do it. Like that, I feel like the way that he didn't do it is very perplexing to me. He feels like the guy that would be like, no, fuck you guys. They booed the shit out of him. This is a dude that has an MVP on his mantle, and they made him feel like he was the worst player of all time. And I didn't think that was going to be an individual that was going to take it. Maybe somewhere down the line, because he hasn't done any real extensive interviews. Maybe we'll get him on here and we'll ask him about the experience of being a Yankee and dealing with these people. God bless Aaron Judge, though. Like, obviously, he was never going to do it. But could you imagine hitting 62 home runs and then getting booed in the same season?
I mean, it's no. That's why I say, and the like, you listen to the roar, right? You can almost hear all of those people going, "We want Soto!"
Maybe
and
we
it's
know.
Like, it's like, no. Keep the same energy. Keep the same energy. If I'm such a shitbag and I'm so terrible and you don't want to see me at all, then you have to understand why tomorrow when I come out of this dugout and I look up in the stands and you guys are all screaming at me, you want this, you want that, you want this. You understand why I'm telling you to piss off, don't you? Because you just told me last night to piss off. You just told me last night that I was not good enough. I'm not the dude. You don't want to cheer for me. You will actually choose to actively boo me as a player, as opposed to let me do my thing and then maybe you make a decision. Maybe you fall in line after that, one way or the other. But like, I don't even get the opportunity to just sort of become a Yankee. Fuck you.
I feel like Joe would just take it. He'd be up at the plate. Yeah, like if you were up at the plate and they were chanting, "We want Soto," it wouldn't bother you at all.
Oh, no, man. It's just East Coast. That's how we do it on the East Coast. You know? Sorry, Dallas, you don't get it.
That is true, yeah.
But, you know, we like to jab a little bit.
The internet cut out. I didn't hear what you guys
said. Quick jabs. Just,
no.
Well,
I guess you got to tune in to Baseball is Dead. Download. Rate, subscribe, check us out on Spotify. We also have a YouTube page, Dallas. If you want to watch what Joe said, you can check it out right there too. Also, merch is on the way, Dallas. You got a little sneak peek. A little some Dallas Braden merch is coming out. It's looking pretty fire. We got some Jay Hay merch that's coming as well. We're gonna tinker with that a little bit. But that Dallas Braden t-shirt, ooh, the way that I'm gonna rock that, the way that next time I'm on some sort of like television appearance, I want that t-shirt. I'm going to be wearing that.
Yeah, I'd like to get it too. That'd be fun to have that.
Yeah. Yep. We will be having that. So you can check out the YouTube channel if you want to see what Joe said while your internet cut out. But yeah, I mean, I guess saying
they only boo you because they only boo you because they care.
No,
they only boo you because they care, man.
The old adage of they only boo you because they want to cheer you. It's like there was nothing wrong with Trent Grisham. They were just being disrespectful.
Yeah.
They just wanted Juan Soto. It's like, well, Juan Soto
wasn't playing. 53 OPS plus at the moment.
Trent Grisham?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to not be an everyday player.
He's just not as good as Soto, I would say. But
I would agree with that statement, yeah. Jay?
I think I'm okay with both sides. If Grisham would have gone around the bases with middle fingers blasting, I think I would have been cool with that. That would have been awesome to see. I'm also, if I'm going to be honest, pretty much okay with the Yankee fans chanting, "We want Soto," because Juan Soto's awesome. He's had a borderline MVP season. It's a perfect pinch hit situation. They have been teasing the idea that he could be available in such a situation the entire series, whether that was gamesmanship, as Dave Roberts said in the in-game interview last night, or whether it wasn't. That's what was presented to the fans. They wanted him in that spot. And to Joey's point, Trent Grisham, while he rose to the moment, he has been very bad offensively this season and in general has not been a very good offensive player. So that's fine. I do wonder, though, I wanted to ask, do you have to be a really good player, like in the present, to do the type of stuff that you guys are talking about in terms of like pushing back in a scenario like this? Because like Judge obviously would apply. He's not the type of player that's going to do that. We're all on the same page.
Disrespect is disrespect.
I'm just wondering. I don't know either.
No,
like you said, Josh Donaldson. Josh Donaldson was like a half a decade past his peak.
Sure.
At the point he played for the Yankees. Like, does that matter in the pushback?
Well, what about
I'm
Stanton?
asking the question legitimately.
What about Stanton? What if Stanton were to
They
start to have a
booed
nice
Stanton
season.
7 plate appearances into his Yankee tenure because he had a 5
well,
strikeout
it's
game
'cause
or
he's-
whatever it was. Like,
Well, I was going to say, he struck out the first
Dude
5
was coming
times
off an
of this-
MVP. He was the reigning National League MVP, and they were booing him on April 16th.
But here's the thing: is he hadn't been a Yankee for that long, right? And not to say that Trent Grisham's Yankee tenure is so much further down the line that he's
He hasn't
a
earned his
Yankee
pinstripes yet.
and Stanton wasn't. Well, wouldn't last night have been an opportunity for him to earn his pinstripes? And instead it came in the form of him hitting a homer for about 50,000 of the most unappreciative people in the Bronx is kind of how it feels.
Yeah. Well, he's not a long. Yes, he's a Yankee. No, he hasn't earned his pinstripes yet. But he's not someone like I think in a
The
different
pinch
position.
hit,
you
go
would look
ahead,
at
homer
Giancarlo
doesn't earn him.
No.
No,
You
even
have
Soto
lowered the
doesn't
bar.
even have his pinch.
No, Soto hasn't earned his pinstripes yet either.
He doesn't have his pinstripes.
I think in the case of Stanton, it's like I'm going to be here a while and I'm a piece. Like they acquired me to be a guy. Trent Grisham's just like, yeah, I was
Big
throwing
piece.
in a trade. Like, they needed a 4th outfielder and here I am. So I wouldn't even care to endear myself to these people. I'll just be like, you know what? Fuck you. You want Soto? Here's a 3-run home run instead. Suck my ass. And Stanton can't do that. 'cause
What
he's
if you
like,
strike
I'm
out?
trapped here for a long time. Well, if you strike out, then you're like, well, that's what you guys expected, right? I suck, right? That's why you want Soto.
Double booze. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when we saw that exact scenario happen with the Mets.
The booze, yeah, the thumbs
We had
down.
the freaking thumbs down.
Oh,
The
yeah,
thumbs
thumbs
down
down.
guy.
Thumbs down. Fuck the fans for booing us.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying our hardest.
Mm-hmm.
We don't deserve this disrespect.
What's the common
We
trend
put
here,
our lives
Joe?
on the line every day.
What's the common denominator?
It's the new dude. A lot of these players can't take an East Coast ribbing.
Mm. I mean,
It's sad.
the Philly fans. I mean, Philly fans don't boo their own players, do they?
Yes, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Remember
when-
Trey Turner last year, bro?
Yeah, they gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah, after booing him
Yeah.
for like weeks.
Yeah, you got to give him a
After
standing
booing him
after
for weeks.
you
Yeah, but
they
crush
booed-
his soul
turned it
for a
around.
month.
Yeah, but he turned it
They
around.
did- yeah, they made him feel. You got to break him down to build
I mean,
him
I-
back up. Come on, you know
I think
this.
the Eagles literally got booed off the field at the end of last season. I
Football's
think that
different.
was like the end of the season was just boos raining down upon them.
Yeah,
Um,
football's a different beast, I feel like.
I'm just saying the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Philadelphia is,
they're getting booed. Castellanos has been getting booed.
Well, hey, look, it's called
Castellanos has
brotherly
been
love
getting
for a
booed.
reason, right? Doesn't fit
What
everybody.
did I see? Did I see a defensive statistic about Castellanos recently? There was something like he has the longest streak of like not making an error or something like that. It was some like
The art of
historic.
not getting to the
Well, I
baseball.
was gonna
It was-
say,
it was-
Jay, it's
yeah,
easy to do
yeah.
when you let the fucking ball stop rolling and then you pick it up. Like I'd like to think my fielding percentage would be fairly solid too.
You guys are bad people.
All right, got it. Yep.
You guys are bad people. I'm gonna find that stat.
No, I think you are dead correct about that being a stat. I just think there's also a couple of reasons.
Okay,
for
right
it.
here. 5 days ago, Nick Castellanos holds the National League record for consecutive games without an error at 407 games.
Yep. A statue they hide on the foul line in the corner would also probably go a couple hundred games without committing an error too.
Wow. He makes the plays.
The ones that are
The
hit
ones
right
right
at
at
him,
him,
he
yeah.
makes those.
You guys are mean today.
Oh,
You guys are really mean.
I feel right on brand.
I feel right on brand. Yeah. We got more Yankee talk. So I teased the Yankee conversation as positive. We just immediately were like, you guys are pieces of shit. You're going to want to tune in. This is a very positive episode for you guys, you fucking assholes. But no, we really do. We really do have some nice things to say about Aaron Judge and what he's been doing. But before we get into that, the MLB season is in full swing and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball, or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and our favorite state, Canada. They also just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. Jake, Celtics up 2-0. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I tried to tell people it was going to be a sweep from the jump. They didn't want to listen.
No.
Kyrie obviously sucks.
He does.
Feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, you should feel great. I mean, the fact that, I mean, I'm not one of these, Jason Tatum disappears in big moments guys, but I mean, he doesn't have to be a 30-plus point guy. I mean, like, Holiday might be my favorite player on the Celtics, if we're being honest. 26 points last night. He was, he might, it's either him or Porzingis might end up being the fucking MVP of the finals. So I'm excited. I'm excited. The Celtics are up 2-0, so you can mix and match the sports. You can go Sox, you can go C's, you can go Mavs and fucking Rangers if you want. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared, Jared, to get up to $250 in bonus cash, and you get a special pick on Underdog. That is Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Yeah, that's actually true. Holiday might be my favorite player on the Celtics. I love the guy. Heard him talking after the game last night. I was like, this guy's got an awesome attitude. He had the whole Kobe, job's not done yet. How do you feel being up 2-0? And he's like, I don't give a fuck. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, we're going to get it done. Love that guy. The Celtics feel like a more complete team ever since he came aboard. So I'm excited. Dallas, you are don't tell me, you're a fucking Kings fan, right? You Kings? No, you're a Suns fan. Shut up. You're a Suns fan. I knew that. Yeah. Yeah, he's a Phoenix Suns fan. Who do you like in this? I mean, did you like the Celtics coming in, or are you one of those guys that didn't believe?
I've always believed. Always believed it. If you can circulate the ball, and you can play defense, you're going to have a chance. Move the basketball.
And you got to knock down shooters. You got Ray Allen, Forster.
Yep.
Garnett,
Perk.
And you got Paul Pierce, the playmaker.
Yep.
Eddie House. Who's that other motherfucker? Posey. Right, Jake? James Posey? Yep. James Posey.
Scalabrini.
Yep, Scal.
Yeah. He was Lambeer, right?
Yep.
A lot of winning in the Posey family across sports.
Yeah. That's true.
3 rings for, what was it? 3 rings for Buster.
Yeah.
I think two for Posey, I want to say. I think he won elsewhere too. Didn't he win with the Heat?
Maybe. I loved Posey. Guy was a gamer.
Cum Posey is in the Hall of Fame.
I'm sorry?
Cum Posey.
Oh,
C-U-M.
That's his
Cum
name?
Posey.
Is that a nickname? Or
Yeah, that's right.
was that on the birth certificate?
All I'm seeing is, Cumberland, of course.
Oh.
Yeah, Cumberland Willis Posey, but
Okay.
he went by Cum.
Did he get in early, or was it?
And he got
What's that? Oh, he was inducted as a pioneer executive in 2006.
Oh. All-around athlete. Heard he was a great swimmer.
2006. Isn't that a little premature? No. Sorry.
Dodgers took 2 out of 3 this weekend at Yankee Stadium, which I don't even know if I want to start right there. Do you see? I know Jay Hay saw my tweet this morning. You see my tweet this morning, Joe?
I don't know. What was the tweet?
You would have fucking known if you saw it. It was a great tweet. Only 10 teams in Major League Baseball have a winning record. There is one 500 team. Right. You're never going to guess who that is. And 19 teams with a losing record. For comparison, 17 teams finished with a winning record last year. Only 10 teams right now in the big leagues with a winning record. One 500 team, that would be the 500 Boston Red Sox. That just, I mean, the numbers are fucking crazy when you break down what's going on with the Boston Red Sox. I read them on Section 10 last night, but here they have been, the Red Sox have had a 500 record 16 separate times in their first 66 games. Last season, they had a 500 record 15 separate times in their first 66 games. On May 7th, the Red Sox were 19-17. Since then, they've been between 2 games above 500 and 2 games below 500 for 33 consecutive days. 2 games above 500 4 times, 1 game above 500 10 times, exactly 500 11 times, 1 game below 500 5 times, and 2 games below 500 1 time. So like we're just fucking right there, and we stay right there. We're never up here and we're never down here. We're just right there. And that's kind of what the league is. Well, I mean, what say you, Dallas? I mean, you are a fan of a team that is you're one of the 19.
Yeah.
Jay Hay is one of the 10. Joseph is one of the 10. Me and Jake are the 101s. We are the ones. But what's going on in Major League Baseball where everyone is just like,
hitting is really hard. And the guys who are really good at pitching, they're having success. I think I don't want to say it's as simple as that, but I think if you look at the teams who are winning baseball games, look at where the Philadelphia Phillies are, how they throw in the baseball. Pretty good? Say pretty good. How about the Dodgers? How's that going? Pretty good? I'd say it's pretty good. What about the Mariners? How the Mariners throw in the baseball? They okay? I'd say that's pretty good. How about the Yankees? How the Yankees look on the mound these days? Decent? They're pretty good. So I think if you just kind of go throughout the division and division by division, I think that is part of the answer. I circle back to the AL Central and just I don't know if it's a shock. I think we understood that that division, and as well as the NL Central, is a close and tightly contested division, whether it's surrounding good baseball or average baseball or even below average baseball collectively. But right now, the AL Central, the only division in baseball with 3 teams that have a winning record.
Yes.
That's what I think that's something that we had discussed, and how I don't know if it was how strong the division looked compared to other divisions, and that may have been shocking some folks. But I think for the AL Central to be the only division where there's 3 teams with a winning record is something to take note of, something to continue to follow. Because I know, look, like the Rangers in our division in the AL West are 3 or 4 games under 500. The team behind them, the Astros, even farther back. So it's just, there's teams and divisions that you would think would be at a different point in time in their season right now, and things are just not that way. I look at the Astros in that regard, trying to get guys back, and it feels like every time they're taking a step forward, they get terrible news, and nope, sorry, you're going to actually lose a couple guys, maybe even on the same day. We might even have a dual operation at the same time. Like, that's the kind of stuff that they're dealing with. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of it being a pitching dominant portion of this season right now.
But there's also,
go ahead,
I would say also kind of the opposite too, because there's been a lot of pitching injuries. And if you look at the teams that you thought would have been better, who actually are not as good, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, the Astros, who these should be above 500 teams that aren't, you can blame that on pitching injuries.
Yes, you can, Joe. It's hand in hand. Like, if you don't have the ability, and that's why, like, you can always have the chicken or the egg conversation with offense or pitching. Do you want to be a team who is known for putting up runs, or do you want to be a team who's known for preventing runs? And that's all about, I think, how you are willing to play the game, how you're willing to manage the game, what sort of offense you think you can generate. But ultimately, if you can't keep the other team off the board, you have to understand that you're going to ask a lot of your offense night in, night out. You have to be a team that on average is scoring 5.5, 6 runs a game. You have to be.
Jay, I feel like you have thoughts on this.
I mean, I think this is, I hate to draw too many conclusions from half of one season, but I do think we're more likely to see this kind of stuff moving forward than we were in the past. I think this is a direct result of playoff expansion and what teams are influenced by in terms of roster building and win total goals and stuff like that. Like, I quickly went back over the last decade or so and looked at roughly this point in the season, how many, to your tweet, how many teams with winning records have there been at, roughly this point in the season, and 10 is low. It's usually 14 to 16 teams, as you would probably expect in a 30-team league. So I think that is part of it. I think that's a big part of it. And
Jay,
we've talked about the NL. We've talked about the NL, like outside of the Dodgers, Phillies, and what we keep expecting from the Braves. It's really just kind of a mediocre mess. And that is translating to Jared's tweet in a lot of teams stacking up in the, 440 to 490 winning percentage area. Which is, we can debate whether this is good or bad, but I think this is what's happening.
Well,
Well,
let
if you're
me
the
let me
Cubs-
pose this
if you're the
question
Cubs
to
right now-
all of you. Hold on. Let me pose this question to all of you, because this is a complaint that I saw in regards to this tweet. What is your reaction to the fan who says that all the stars are now just on 10 teams and the rest of the teams are left to figure it out?
I would say that everything, this is, I mean, it's almost like I didn't even want to hit on the idea of,
But what about the Padres?
the wild card and the playoff expansion, because that's what it is. Like I hate doing this because it feels like you don't have to go any farther than this point in the conversation. But I that's what it is. We can spend our time
let's
trying
look,
to pinpoint,
look around.
pin down some other things. But that's what it is. If I
Mets
know
have
that I
stars.
don't have to
The
compete,
Astros have stars. The Pirates have stars now. The Cubs have stars. The Cardinals have stars.
I would say the Pirates have one star.
Yeah.
They have one star.
1.5.
What about Jared Jones?
2?
Jared Jones.
I think Jared Jones is a very good pitcher.
O'Neal Cruz.
I think
is the
O'Neal Cruz
Should
is
be.
not even close.
is the
He
next.
should
No,
be.
he's the
He
next.
should be
He's the
not.
and on that roster outside of Jared Jones. Who are you having?
That's fine. He's not a star.
No, I'm not-
He's
Padres
not
have
a star
stars.
right now.
The Padres have stars.
Padres have stars.
The Blue Jays kind of have stars.
Yeah.
I would
They have
argue as it
recognition.
relates to the
Yeah.
Padres, they may be down to one.
The Reds have a star.
The Reds have a star. Who is as
Streaky. He's
bad
streaky.
offensively as any regular player over particular stretches of time.
He's streaky, But yeah, I mean, there's just there are a lot of bad teams. A lot of bad teams.
But the reason you
I
can
mean, there are
start to
6
look at some of these other teams though, and start to label them as teams that do have stars, and then you look at the disparity between them and some of the other clubs that I think fans are pinpointing as teams that have the stars. So okay, we're naming teams that have a guy here, a guy there that you can recognize, and we're calling them stars, and we're saying it in the plural form, like there's multiple of those guys. We just did it with the Reds and then quickly reduced it down to Ellie De La Cruz, who was then quickly reduced down to a guy who is extremely streaky offensively. So that's how we're labeling these stars.
I said he was a star.
O'Neal Cruz
I said
can't
he was
be
a
a star, but Ellie De La Cruz can steal a bunch of bases and then
Well,
still just kind of be average
oh,
offensively. And then,
Dallas.
so that's what's happening.
Dallas.
That's what's
No,
happening.
come on. Do not
So
put
sensitive
O'Neal
about O'Neal
Cruz.
Cruz.
Yeah, don't put O'Neal Cruz and Ellie De La
I mean, nobody
Cruz in
hits the
same
ball
conversation
fucking
right now.
harder than that guy. Nobody.
Whoop-de-doo. Congrats on the
Nobody.
single that it ends up being.
Nobody.
Right.
Oh, because he hit it
Yes.
too fucking hard? That's a hell of a way to knock a guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you hit it
I mean,
too hard.
that's-
Nice single, pussy.
But that's why
That's
that's why the
acid I think
olds
I've ever heard
will
of.
look at exit velocity and be like, oh, what does it matter how hard you hit it? A home run's like, I'm an exit velocity guy. I want to know. I think it's important. But no, O'Neal Cruz is not in the Ellie De La Cruz conversation or tier yet. They're in different tiers. Is that fair, Jay Hay?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to argue that they're both extremely raw and sub-true star status, I'm on board with that. If we're talking about who has demonstrated more on-field star power so far, I just think it's very clearly Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, Ella Della is a star
He
in the
has
making.
like 4 times as many stolen bases. He's got essentially the same amount of home run pop that Cruz has demonstrated on the field in games. So O'Neal Cruz has demonstrated on the field in games.
O'Neal Cruz
I mean,
has
they're
no
both-
aura. Ellie De La Cruz has aura, right, Joe? Back me. Does O'Neal
I
Cruz
mean,
have aura?
No, they both have aura. You're
Yeah.
talking about these guys are fucking twins in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
One of them is just better than the other. They are fucking identical. They have the same last name, same height, same position. They look, I don't say they look the same, but they have the same haircut. You know, like, but one of them is better than the other one. O'Neal Cruz isn't as good as Ellie De La Cruz.
Right. Well, we've had this conversation about O'Neal Cruz and that he has the tools to be a star. He just
we
has
just
to put it
had
all
it when
together.
they were
Plenty of
when
time. Plenty of time for him to do that. I'm not worried about O'Neal
Yeah.
Cruz. But either way, I'm just saying the Pirates have start. Like Paul Skeens is a fucking star. Jared Jones is
For
going
sure.
to be a star if he's not already a star. Whatever.
But
But is there a difference between a star and a stud? Okay.
To me, a stud is like maybe you don't know his name yet. Like a star, you know their name and it's undeniable. A stud is like I'm trying to think of who's a stud.
Because like Ellie De La Cruz is a star, but like if you look at his numbers, he's not as good as like, I mean, the Rangers have like 3 players who are better than him who aren't as big of stars as him.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was answering the star question more in terms of on-field impact because that's what relates to the standings conversation that we were having. If we're talking about like all the juice they have off the field or in terms of persona, then Ellie De La Cruz is for sure one of the 10 or 12 biggest stars in the sport. But to me, it's like to Jared's point, backing up to Jared's point about the proliferation of stars, wherever we want to draw that line. To me, it's less about do teams have stars / tentpole players, or do they have them as often as they used to? Versus like, I think where the stars grouping together hurts is at the top and the bottom, and like that's where we're seeing it manifest. Is that there are like 8 teams, 10 teams that come into a season where they're like, we have no realistic path to serious contention this season. That's a third of the league. Just like, you're done. And then there's like the other, 5, depending on the year, 4 to 6 teams where it's like a playoff spot is almost guaranteed to us as long as we just like don't let the wheels completely fall off. Whether we win the division or wild card is maybe up for debate, but like we are getting to the postseason as long as we just stay straightforward. I think that's where it hurts. Like these teams in the middle all have players to get excited about on one side of the ball or the other. It's just that, the Nationals, Angels, Marlins, Athletics, White Sox, and Rockies, that's 6 teams where on June 10th, probably earlier if we had this conversation, their seasons are 100% over as it relates to any meaningful baseball in the way that we're talking about it right now.
Think about how the draft has been reduced, right? Think about how the draft has been reduced and the talent pool across baseball has shrunk in terms of just the overall amount of players and the truncation of the leagues, right? The minor leagues. What we understand and what I've long understood, and this was the case long ago when they just kept drafting players until everybody was like, all right, are we all good? Like we're in the fucking 74th round. Does everybody feel like they've got enough players? We ready to call it? That's how the draft used to operate. They used to just go until everybody agreed that they were done. And what did that do? Well, it helped provide a league. It helped provide leagues for all of the talented players to play in. Because if you just had nothing but the highly talented players to play in, you would have a very different looking league. You would have a much smaller league and things would just operate very differently because you need bodies. You need warm bodies for your top 10 rounders to play against. That's what the other 15 rounds are for, are to fill those rosters. So you're watching this sort of unfold in the big leagues. It's manifested itself in the big leagues with rosters where, as you said, there's just a third of these teams that are just here. They're here because Major League Baseball has to put together a schedule for the rest of the league to play against. And that's what this is the upper echelon teams have decided that we will spend to maintain our status in this tier. The second tier teams have said we will spend to stay here, and we are more than willing to roll the dice and see how it turns out in terms of a wild card berth. And we're comfortable there. And then the lower tier teams are teams where you got to believe they're saying, look, we make money owning this team, and we have to keep employing players to play on this team so that we can stay in this league, so that I can keep making money. So that's how we're going to run our teams. So those are your tiers of organizational approaches. And that's exactly how this has played out. It's again, I hate to reduce it down to shit like that, but it's just that simple. It is.
Well, I guess it'll make for an interesting playoff picture when, like, if you look at the wild card standings right now. Not that I want to make a habit of doing that even before the All-Star break, but it's the Minnesota Twins as the 6th seed in the American League, 3 games over 500, which, I mean, in fairness, a lot of us picked them to make the playoffs. But in the National League, you will have 2 teams. The Padres right now are your 5th spot, your second wild card. They have a losing record. They're 1 game under 500. And then you have a 4-way tie. You have a 4-way tie for that 6th spot between the 32 and 34 Giants, the 32 and 34 Reds, the 32 and 34 Cubs, and the 31 and 33 Cardinals. And a half game out are your 3 games under 500 Pittsburgh Pirates. Like, the National League is going to have an underwhelming wild card picture.
And the Diamondbacks behind them, and then the Nats behind them. Like, you don't get that multiple game gap until you get to the Mets.
Yeah. Right. The Mets at 28 and 36 are still in it. 3 games out.
Like, that's absurd.
I woke up the other morning from a text or with a text from a New York Mets friend of mine saying, "Hey, we went 5-2 over the last 7. I'm looking at the wild card standing." It's like, holy shit. Like, that is like, this is pretty sad.
Well, that's what I got to fucking listen to here in Boston. Oh, we're a game and a half back of the Twins. It's like, cool. We're fucking 33 and 33. We cannot, for the life of us, get more than 2 games above 500. You're never going to fall more than 2 games below 500, but they're going to be in that 2 games above, right at, or 2 games below 500 vortex. And I got to hear about how, like, well, you know, they're only a game and a half out of a playoff spot. Jesus Christ.
It's also going to be interesting to see what impact that has on the trade deadline.
Dom Smith was our fucking cleanup hitter yesterday.
Wait, the Dom Smith?
The Dom Smith. Rob Refsnyder batting third.
Not like an ascending Dom Smith that we haven't heard of yet.
The very same, the one that we wanted at the trade deadline in 2019 or 2020, like that Dom Smith.
I mean, but seriously, like, trade deadline, I know is a little bit away, but it's going to be here pretty quickly, and you got to think these teams are already looking at this. How many of these teams are going to be actual sellers, and who on those teams are difference makers for the teams that want to buy, and what's that going to do to the price in terms of supply demand? Like, if Jesus Luzardo is a guy who I think we all are on the same page is probably going to be out there, like, if he's the lone starting pitcher that's out there, it's like, well, what is the price on? I don't know. It's just, that's a lot of incentive for teams to not sell if they're, we're 3 games out of the last wild card spot. Like,
this is exactly
this.
But did we not? No, we talked about this. Is what we yelled about and
I understand.
About,
I understand.
We knew that this was going to unfold.
Just because we knew about it doesn't mean that we can't talk about it when it's actually manifesting itself in just this absolute dreck of a National League this season.
But I think
it's organization by organization, though. Like, I think it's when it comes to the trade deadline conversation, it is completely an organizational outlook perspective where there might be a team, an organization that's like, if we can't go for it and win a championship, we're probably in a position to sell off some pieces here. Whereas there are going to be teams that, like, let's say the Pittsburgh Pirates, for example, they're 3 games under 500. they're a half game back of a wild card spot. So to them, they might say, well, shit, I think it's a huge win if we can say that in the same year that we have Jared Jones going and we called up Paul Skeens, that we made the playoffs that year. They could make the playoffs with a fucking losing record. And because they have a losing record does not mean that they're going to sell. So, but another team like the Mets might be like, all right, well, we're 2 games away from a wild card spot, but fuck it, let's blow this thing up because, Alonso is going to be a free agent and we want to get something for him. And if we're going to trade him, we might as well offload all these other guys that we can offload. So it's going to be a case by case, process with a lot of these teams.
It always has it was always going to be that, because it's always like, you can almost look at it like the early rounds of your fantasy football draft, right? Who's going to be the one who deviates? Who's going to be the one to grab the tight end first? Maybe 2 rounds before anybody else even thought about pulling the trigger there. And then will you start to see the tight ends roll, the top 3 or 4, and then everybody gets off that and we get back to receivers? Like, how does that play out? And that's what you have. That's why I started to look at the Cubs, and I was going to say, well, you think about the Cubs. Are they making a move? Are they okay because they say where we're at right now is good, and if we're able to maintain this, we're still good in terms of the overall playoff picture. So why would we be making those moves? To my point about the investment strategies and what these organizations mean to their ownership groups and individually so, you just laid out a couple examples, Jared, and you're talking about the Pirates and why would they not do something like this? Because that would mean that the team would be deviating from how they've operated in the past, which is what makes us money. And if being in the postseason hasn't been the top priority, then it's tough to think that that's all of a sudden now going to be this priority when we know that spending money and committing to players is ultimately how you get there. But they're saying, not so fast. Look at the standings. Spending money and committing to players is no longer how you get there, silly rabbit. Contracts are for kids. This is about making money and getting to the postseason without having to spend as much as everybody else is.
There are 9 teams in the National League that are either holding or within a game and a half of a wild card spot. 9.
Jared, there's only one team. How about this? There's only one team in baseball right now that is double-digit games out of a wild card.
The White Sox, who just almost
the White Sox, who are
from the Boston Red Sox. We're going to count that as
and they're just
8.
By
the way,
they're just 17 and a half out for the White Sox. The next closest would be the Halos at 9.
Yeah.
So the Marlins, all the way down at the bottom of the barrel in the National League, 9.5 out.
Still in it. Still got a fighting chance. Man. All right. Before we move on from this topic, let me just ask you all individually. I'll start with Joe. Is this bad for the sport that there are this many teams that are mediocre or bad, but like they're all still within striking like is it which one weighs, I guess, heavier? The fact that there's so many bad and mediocre teams, or the fact that there are so many teams because of this, there's so many teams that are now in striking distance of a playoff spot? Is it a bad thing or a good thing?
It's tough because it's good and bad. We just covered the bad parts. So that's been established. The good parts is like teams have a chance and it's more exciting for those teams. Theoretically, there's more like exciting baseball down the stretch. But then we've seen it not really been that way too, because if a bunch of mediocre teams are battling for a wild card spot, people aren't really excited as much. I think what really fucks this scenario up is when we have situations like the past few years when we have a team like the Diamondbacks
get hot,
make it to the World Series. Like these teams, if it happens consistently, because like last year the Diamondbacks made it, and it seems like something when a team that you barely expect to make the playoffs makes the World Series. Historically, that's like a big story. Like what an inspiring. They bound together. This is like America's team. But now it seems like this happens like every year where the wild card team barely gets in, gets hot, makes it to the World Series. And if that just keeps happening over and over again, I think that is when the playoff structure really becomes a problem. Because let's be honest, we don't want to see that every year. It's good to see a comeback, Cinderella story every once in a while, but we want to see Shohei. We want to see the Yankees play each other more than we want that, more times than not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially after this past weekend, I know it's probably an unpopular take outside of these two markets, but would love a Dodger-Yankee matchup in the World Series. Like if you have those two fan base, like, because I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter, but the Dodger fans were like, we're invading the Bronx, and they did. I mean, like having those two fan bases at each other's throats when you have Soto and Shohei and Mookie and Judge and Freddie and Trent Grisham, like you're gonna have a hell of a showdown between those two teams, East Coast, West Coast, the biggest two markets. And the two, I guess, most aggressive offseason teams that spent the most and went for it. Like that's what it should be.
The Dodgers have unequivocally the most energetic and most raucous fan base on the West Coast. When it comes to baseball, it's not close.
Mm-hmm.
It's not close.
Yeah, they're crazy.
And you're going to
Dodger fans are nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to get that together. Or if you should get that together, I mean, we're talking bleacher creatures from two sides of the country. Like the bleacher scene at the Ravine is one all its own, much like the bleacher scene in New York is one all its own. When we talk about this, how the playoffs and the structure and everything goes, like the overall product, the overall integrity of the product, I think, Joe, is what you're kind of hitting on. And I'm gonna get a little scientific here just to draw this comparison. But when there was the disaster, the Fukushima power plant disaster in Japan, spilled into the ocean and was just pumping nuclear waste like every second into the ocean. It affected the fish population on such a scale where they stopped grading the amount of mercury content in the fish the way they had previously. And they had to completely change the protocol and how they were grading the contamination levels. Because if they were to keep it the same, every fish in the ocean would be deemed inedible based on the amount of poison in their body. So they would be deemed inedible for human consumption. So what did they do instead? Instead of telling you that you shouldn't eat the fish, they raised the amount of mercury that they would need to consider the fish inedible. So guess what? You can eat them now and you're all good. It's fine. And so when the playoffs come along, it's like, no, don't look here. I understand we're talking about fringe teams, 500, maybe sub 500 making the postseason and maybe getting to the World Series. But remember, this is what's fun about this is everybody's team has a chance. Never mind the fact that we're celebrating an 86 win team that's going to win the World Series. This is what's best for baseball is that everybody's team has a chance. And then you look up after 10 years or so and you're like, are the best teams winning? Is this good for the sport? Or have we sort of chiseled away at the integrity of what it means to get to the postseason and build a championship club and get through a championship season? Are we sort of whitewashing that? You know what I mean? Like, is that what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. I it's not a huge problem right now in terms of what Joe's talking about with the Cinderella story making it to the World Series every single year. Maybe this is the year where that changes. I don't know, because as cool as it was to see the Dodgers and the Yankees go head to head in the Bronx this weekend, both of these teams notoriously have had, at least in recent history, not historically, but like recent history, have had their problems getting to the big dance. They've always had good teams. They always have winning seasons, but the chalk World Series that would be fun as hell to watch. I don't know. I don't trust that it's, we're on a collision course for this to happen. It would be cool though, but I guess we shall see. If that happens, you can bet your ass that Game Time is going to have tickets to that World Series. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer that it gets to first pitch. So if you're looking at World Series tickets here in June, I would say probably wait. With killer last-minute deals on all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Yeah, we were talking about the Savannah Bananas being on Game Time, and it's like, man, the demand for those tickets, they sold out the tour immediately, and there were some tickets available, but it's the demand for Savannah Bananas tickets is certainly up there. But that's why you want to stay tuned for a promo code. Save up to 60% off buying last minutes for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. Save even more when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the seats for you. They've got all-in pricing. You toggle this feature and it shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry today. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the promo code BID for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I feel like I've been teasing this Aaron Judge thing for pretty much since the start of the show. Because I did want to make sure that we got into the Aaron Judge discourse, because what he's doing is insane. In Dallas, I feel like you're not paying attention right now.
Oh, I'm listening.
Hal McRae led Major League Baseball with 133 runs batted in.
1984.
Steve Rogers was your ERA title winner with a 2.40 ERA.
1985.
The Milwaukee Brewers had the best record in the AL East, going 95-67.
86.
Doc Gooden was the number 5 overall pick by the New York Mets.
82.
Good job.
Let's go.
Dennis Eckersley was the losing pitcher in this year's All-Star game, which was held at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Steve Carlton led the majors in wins with 23 and strikeouts with 286, en route to his 4th and final Cy Young Award in his age 37 season. And Wade Boggs hit 349 to earn a 3rd place finish for Rookie of the Year. 1982 was the year.
Shout out the Milwaukee Brewer American League clue. That's what did it.
Mm-hmm. AL East champs, Milwaukee Brewers.
Otherwise, I was getting ready to fucking skip a decade.
Yeah. Yep. AL East champs, the Brewers.
Good for me. Good for me. Shout out Doc, too.
Shout out Doc. Number 5 overall pick. Yeah, so Aaron Judge is very good at baseball. What is it? Through his first 33 games, he was hitting 197. This was on May 2nd. He was hitting 197 with a 725 OPS. And this is not since then. This is just his season overall. He's up to hitting 305 with an 1139 OPS. Because over his last 34 games, he's hitting 419 with a 540 on base percentage. He's slugging 1026 with a 1566 OPS. 18 home runs in 34 games, 15 doubles. He's driven in 41 runs in those 34 games, and he's walked 31 fucking times. Oh my God. Yeah. So I think what we're seeing right now is, I mean, obviously I don't know about a home run chase or anything this year, but from like a weighted runs created plus, we may, if he keeps this up, which is fucking ridiculous. I don't think he's going to keep this up, but we could potentially be seeing Aaron Judge's best offensive season ever. Do you think that that's possible?
I think you have to give credence to the potential for it because he's got something that he has never had in his lineup with him. And that's somebody who is doing damn near the same thing that he's doing. I mean, we're talking about different players, but when has Aaron Judge had somebody performing in the lineup within 2 spots of his to the extent that Juan Soto is? I'm going to go with never.
Never.
I'm going to go with never. Thank you, Jay Hay, for the quick research on that. Never.
And then if he's out, they got Grisham plugging him right back in there, and it's just like he never left.
You don't miss a fucking beat, Joe. I mean, if you squint real hard, don't know. Who is that? Because the ball's going 450. Is that Soto? Is that Grisham? I don't care. Yeah, I think, look, the sustainability is always the question, especially when a guy at this stage of the season is doing what he's doing. It happens with guys when we talk about 400, right? The chase to 400. We saw Arias. You have that conversation early, and then I think you're surprised by your ability to continue to have the conversation, and then at a certain point, it's like, oh, well, a week went by, and we'll never have that conversation again because that's done and over with. But I just don't know that happens to Aaron Judge. I mean, in the year that he beat Ohtani, 3 years ago, when he beat Ohtani out for the MVP with his ridiculous offensive season, that's what you were waiting for. You're almost going, well, how long can it? Well, the whole season. That's your answer. He will do it all year long.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and let's not forget,
Aaron Judge is now on pace for a better weighted runs created plus and FWAR than his record-breaking 2022 MVP season. So the weighted runs created plus 210, and he's on pace for an 11.5 FWAR season.
That's absolutely
basically while taking the month of April off.
Yeah.
And he already has more WAR this year than last year. And I feel like people forget last year that he was on at a certain point before he got hurt was on pace to like be close to that home run record last year before he got hurt. So it shouldn't really be surprising.
It's Joe. Is it safe to say that the best thing to happen to Aaron Judge was getting ejected?
I would say Ohtani, but yeah, that and Ohtani. I'd say you'd still have to give Ohtani a lot of credit for what Aaron Judge is doing right now.
What's the connection?
Do you think, I don't know why is getting ejected supposed to be good. Now they're not calling a low strike on him because he flipped out one time?
Well,
or just changed.
You get ejected, you flip out, and then you go on this, like okay, I'm done. I can't tell you that I don't like things. Well, guess what? I'm just going to play baseball better than anybody's ever played baseball ever.
Well, if that was the case, Bryce Harper would be the MVP every single season.
Yeah, he gets tossed a lot.
Well,
he tossed, he rages out.
You want to hear some nonsense right now?
What are you?
Craig Calcaterra, who used to write my favorite baseball blog of all time, was like one of my big inspirations back in the day. Hardball Talk, great blog. R.I.P. He just tweeted a player in the Athletics player poll saying why he named Juan Soto the most overrated player in the league. Quote, I feel like all he does is walk and hit singles and doesn't hit for power like he's portrayed. He's slugging over 600 this year. Tatis. Yeah. Manny Machado. Yeah. It's got to be like someone on the Padres being like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Oh, a player from where?
It's like an anonymous player poll being asked like who the most overrated player in the league is. Like pretty much Bryce Harper used to win that thing every year. Like all the players like used to be jealous of the haters of Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was always voted most overrated. This player anonymously said it was Juan Soto because all he does is walk and hit singles, which is just simply not true.
Juan Soto is Luis Arias with a good eye, with a better eye.
Yeah. 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 That's what they're saying.
That's a hell of a take. That is a hot take.
You know who looks really bad in that article is actually Jared Carrabis.
Why? What'd I say?
Because they asked the players, like, just based off vibes, like, who do you want to play with? Not even skill, like, not even talent. Like, what guy, clubhouse guy, you just love this guy so much. You respect him, you want to play with him. Mookie Betts, number one.
Give me
because
Mookie.
those are all people that haven't played with him, so they don't know what it's like to share a clubhouse.
They're trying to get on the podcast, bro.
Yeah,
That's
like that. That makes perfect sense. He's a politician.
I do agree. I think the players did not understand that question. If you look at who got voted for the vibes guy, it's just like the 10 best players in the league. I don't think they understood what they were being asked.
Yeah.
Because vibe guy, I mean, you got to go. I'd go big cock Jock Peterson, maybe.
The best vibes guy in the league.
Like, who do you want to be teammates with? Even if they suck, you don't care. You just want to be boys with them.
Randy Rosarena would probably be my pick.
Randy.
Yeah. Like, who would I want to like be teammates with?
I'm going.
Like, this guy.
I'm
changes
going
the
Lance
vibes
Lynn.
entirely.
Lance Lynn.
Lance Lynn, like, yes, I think he'd be a great guy because I feel like as a pitcher, that makes sense that you said that. Like, he's the guy that, like, oh, okay, like it's an off day in a new city. We're gonna go fishing together. Like, that's great vibes. Like, he's gonna know all the best restaurants in every city because he's been in the big leagues forever. He's gonna know all the good fishing spots. So like, yeah. But I'm talking like when I show up at the ballpark, who's the dude in the clubhouse and like the guy that I want to sit next to in the dugout to like goof around with, or like be on the field to like celebrate with. Like, Randy Rosarena was the first guy that comes to mind. Jay, hey, who are you thinking right now? I feel like your wheels are spinning.
Joe Ram.
Okay.
Bobbing around, having a good time.
Yeah.
What? Kicking ass.
He got your back too.
Yeah.
He'll pop someone.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I feel like the Padres don't have vibes guys. I know that they have aura guys, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like once you ascend to a certain level of stardom, it's almost like we don't speak the same language anymore. Like, your brain doesn't work like the common man anymore. And those guys are kind of like that. Like, I feel like Machado, Tatis, like they're stars. They're not going to vibe with the backup catcher, you know? Like, I need backup catcher vibes.
Well, they had it. They had Hosmer, man. They freaking gave him away.
Yeah.
And they got Kim smoking cigs in the clubhouse. That's always a hoot.
That is pretty cool. I would smoke some darts with him.
There's a lot of guys.
I need a guy that can like. I need a guy that isn't too cool, that can bridge the gap between like the Latin players and the gringos. Like, we need someone that's just like, I am cool with everyone. Who's that guy?
Those guys are
Marsh.
important.
Marsh.
Yeah,
Eduardo Perez.
Eduardo Perez. They're just like, you've been in clubhouses, Dallas. You know that exists where it's just like,
it's
these guys hang out over here, these guys hang out over there, but you need the guy that brings it all together.
Yep. It's one of the funner things. Like, you know what's funny about that is, so yesterday,
Jazz Chisholm.
So yesterday was Alumni Sunday for the Athletics, and I got to sit down in my old spot where I used to broadcast when my man Ray Fossey was with us, and got to have players come down. And I sat down with Tim Hudson, sat down with Mark Mulder. They spent about an inning or so with me, but Ariel Prieto was also there, and Ariel was the translator for Cespi when he first came over. So when he first showed up to the clubhouse, Cespedes, that was his translator. That was his guy, was Ariel Prieto. And that's whose locker was right next to mine. And so I got to know Cespi, got to talk with Ariel, and it was just really cool to see him. But like that's part of your job or responsibility as one of the older guys in the clubhouse, is to do that, is to bring everybody together and make sure that there's an understand. We're all on the same fucking page here. So when it comes time to celebrate after a win, Willie, bump your fucking music. Let's get it going. Half of us gringos don't understand any of it, but it's fucking awesome. And we just won. Jam that shit. Let's go. Let's have a great time. Everybody's involved. You need it.
I feel like Adolis Garcia could be that guy. Like, I'm on the ESPN list of top 100 baseball players in 2024. And it's just like, I feel like a lot of them are just, they're stars and they have aura, but they're not someone that's going to be like the everyone get together and kumbaya guy.
Well,
Like,
didn't
they're
we?
just kind of like on there.
How about Rowdy Tellez?
You gotta, I don't know.
I mean, stood up.
You're
up
naming
for
guys like Lance Lynn and Rowdy Tellez would. I feel like they'd bully me. You know, I don't know if they're like.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. A little sensitive. They just want you to be better. That's all. They just want you to be better.
I'm already good. I'm already better than them. So why would
What
they?
about Nicky Knox?
Oh, Nicky Knox.
I'm trying to remember Nicky Knox. Nick Lopez? You're talking Nicky Lopez?
Nicky Knox can
Nicky
be whoever you
Knox,
want him to
dude.
be, baby.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I need a guy that's just like happy all the time.
Oh, Francisco
Luis
Lindor.
Arias
right.
seems like he could be that guy. Luis
Lindor's
Arias.
your guy. Lindor's your guy. Jared, Mr. Smiles. Lindor's your guy. Come on. No?
No. I don't think so. Luis Arias is a good pick for me, though.
Gary Sanchez?
Scary. Anyways, the White Sox are seeking a package for Luis Robert Jr. that is greater than what the Padres gave up for Juan Soto at the 2022 trade deadline. Thoughts?
Good effort. I can understand why
you
you
gotta
might
ask
be
Kyle.
asking
You got to
that.
start at.
Wait, why wouldn't they?
Right.
Not just why wouldn't they ask for that? Why wouldn't they be justified in doing so? He's not as good of a player, but he's on a much more favorable contract for the acquiring team.
Oh, it's
Much more.
you absolutely, because that's where else in that lineup, where else on that roster can you remove a guy and conceivably get better organizationally?
What do you mean?
You get rid
Like
of
who the White
Lubov.
Sox have to trade.
Who do they have to trade outside of
Yeah.
him?
Oh,
That would
right,
make
right,
them-
right. Yes, of course. Yes.
There's only one guy on that roster that you can get rid of and actually make your team better because of it. And it's Lubov. And it's because
Nicky Knox. They got Nicky Knox.
All right, it's enough Nicky Knox here in a minute.
I mean, he makes $15 million next year, and then there are 2 club options for $20 million each for 26 and 27. So an acquiring team beyond what they'd get this season would get him for 3 years and $55 million above and beyond the opportunity to negotiate an additional extension if that's something that you're interested in.
And I
I think that's an appropriate place to start the negotiations. Honestly, I do. He was outstanding last year. He's in his age 26 season. He is he has the capability of being an above average / impact defensive player. And his bat more than played last season. So yeah, I think, and to Dallas's point, this is their chance. Him and Crochet are their chances to reignite this rebuild that could be extremely painful, and they need to hit on these 2 transactions if they're going to trade these guys. And I think a Juan Soto package is a legitimate place to start the negotiations.
yeah, you have to.
This
Jared,
is
do you
their World
disagree? Do you
Series.
think that's crazy shit? Jared?
Do I think that that's crazy?
Yeah, did you bring it up because you think asking for that is ridiculous?
I wouldn't say crazy or ridiculous, but you're not gonna get a Juan Soto return. No, but I don't know. I mean, like his years of control go through what, 27? He has like 2 option years or something like that.
Yeah.
Is it 27, 28, 27?
It's through 27.
So
You just said it.
I don't know. I think the years of control definitely help. I don't think it's that crazy. Like we've seen what he can be when he's healthy. He's only played a
No, and-
handful of games this year that hasn't
And,
been quality.
and he's doing what he's doing surrounded by what? Like you put this guy in a lineup where he's not the dude that you just don't let beat you. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a tough place to exist as a potential perennial all-star talent that you're waiting to just sort of blossom into that and become that. That's a tough place for an individual like that to operate in a lineup where you're the one dude that's not going to see the strike with guys on base. You're the one dude who down by one, we're not even fucking with you. Like you're that dude. And that's a tough place to make your hay. And so you start to plug him into a viable lineup where he's not the one shouldering the load. And I mean, there's no reason that this guy can't break out because being protected or having protection around you or even serving as a mild form of protection is a completely different at bat day in and day out than it is when you're the one guppy in the pond. And that's exactly who he is right now. You're the one, you're it. If we lose, it's because Lou Bob beat us.
Yeah. Well, I think the other question that kind of comes from this is, let's just say for the argument that they do get a return like that. What teams A, have the need, and B, have the prospect capital to get it done?
Need, don't know. Capital, you start with the Orioles, right? Because now we're talking about ranking our minor league systems and where are those teams at? And that's where you're going to, it's almost like draft too, right? Like if this is the best available player here, regardless of what we need, if this is the best available player, can we consciously pass this up?
I'll tell you who it's going to be.
Who's it going to be?
Seattle.
Seattle, huh? And do you think that gets done at this deadline?
On June 10th.
Is that an off-season trade?
I think it is very viable that it is a deadline deal. That if they deal Luis, listen, if the White Sox choose to not deal him to anyone at this deadline and make it an off-season thing, that's fine. If he gets dealt at this deadline, in my opinion, with no inside sourcing, looking at rosters and reported motivations, I think the Mariners are a dynamic fit because they have, outside of Julio in the outfield, they have really nobody who would stand in his way. They could get him DH time to the degree that they wanted to do that on days where he's not playing the outfield. And the fact that he is under team contract would appeal to a team that operates within a very specific payroll structure year to year. So I'm picking the Mariners, and I think it would be an exciting fit too.
Joseph, who do you think is the
maybe I'm just throwing things out there. Maybe he just stays in Chicago, goes to the Cubs. And they got outfielder P. Crow Armstrong, who top prospect.
Joe, why aren't the Atlanta Braves knocking on that door?
The Braves, well, yeah, I mean, the Braves need an outfielder too. I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to give up Juan Soto Hall or if they even have the capability to do that.
Well, based on how things have gone, I feel like if they call Luis Robert, his response is going to be like, yeah, so do I need to write the check to the Braves fund now? Or how does that work? When do I write the check to the Braves fund? Yeah, I'm in.
But he's already signed until 2027 anyway, so there's no need.
Isn't that right up Double A's alley? Like, how can we get a cost
that's
effective?
Right up yes, that's right up his alley, but that's everybody's alley. I just don't know if the Braves are going to, they don't get guys like that usually. Well, they do, but they've traded so many people. They don't have guys to trade like that. If they want a Juan Soto Hall, I don't know if the Atlanta Braves are going to give them what they want. You know, I love Lou Bob out there.
I don't know.
I think the Cubs could, and then you just got to say Padres because they're always the team to get him.
The Padres do make sense just because they just will randomly come from the clouds and be like, hey, here's a huge prospect haul for this star player. That's their MO.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, the Dodgers. I mean, it's like that's kind of just goes back to the earlier conversation topic about
who's willing to compete.
The top third the top third of the league are the teams that are willing to expand their payroll, trade for stars, acquire stars any way that they can. And then there's the other 2/3 of the league that are just like, yep, if we happen to draft and develop one, great. If not, then we'll see you in 6 years.
Yeah,
when we're
I mean,
ready
doesn't
to
that
compete again?
Doesn't that? I mean, and isn't that like just like? Don't you hate looking at it like that? Don't you hate that it always goes back to that though? It always goes back to that. That's why I said, and I get it. Well, it doesn't mean we can't talk about it. It does. I know, but we're almost like you almost have to practice ignorance to an extent to be like, yeah, well, we're just not going to address the fact that we knew that this was going to happen, and we're not going to address the fact that we knew that teams would operate this way. So it's like, all right, well, I guess today we'll act like that's not going to be the way they're going to go about it. Today, we'll just act like everybody cares. And all right, well, let's pick out a landing spot. And it's like, well, it takes about 32 seconds to start the conversation. And you realize, nope, there's still just that small number of potential landing spots. And it's for the same shitty reason, because teams are more than willing to take their chances backing in to a potential wild card berth than they are trying to spend money and project on players that they feel might move the needle a win or two here or there and not get them over the hump, not be the end all. So.
Well, I guess that's something to keep an eye on, especially on the other trade front, where I can't remember if we got to it or not, but we mentioned how like the Blue Jays said that they're not interested in trading Bo or Vladdy. They're not interested in firing their manager. But there was a report. I don't want to. No, Nightingale had the Luis Robert one, but the Cubs have privately discussed trading for Vladdy Jr., which to me, I don't know that would be a publicly discussed thing. I don't know why privately had to be thrown in there as an adjective, but the Cubs have privately discussed a Vladdy Jr. trade. I mean, we kind of had a conversation a few weeks ago about the somewhat resurgence. Yeah, how private was this? The resurgence of Vladdy. It's yeah, exactly. Vladdy is now up to 292, a 383 on base. The slug is down a little bit, 424 for an 807 OPS. It's an OPS plus of 134. So it's the best OPS plus that he's had since the 48 homer season in 2021. It's the batting average is above his career average. The on base is above career average, and the slug is not career average. But I still think that if the Blue Jays were to say, hey, like we're shopping this guy, it's not a sell low. Is that fair? It's not a sell low. It's not a sell high. Certainly not a sell high, but I don't think it's a sell low either.
It's not a sell low. I think it really does become a question. Like if you're doing the homework now on a guy like Vladdy, it's where do we see him? Is this a potential defensive like grenade that we're jumping on? Because I got to believe that that's why they're starting to try to trot him out there in maybe a different spot, is to show viability. Like, hey, don't be scared away. Like, he'll be fine. You'll be able to put him at third. He'll be able to play 140 games at first, right? Because I can remember a very, very well-respected pitcher, Hall of Famer, who, when discussing Vladdy's MVP case, was like, he plays games. He's at first a lot. Well, that's good, right? So I think that's exactly where you have to start, is for the teams that are interested, where does Vladdy fit into their picture? So if it's a sell high, sell low, all about the team where he's landing.
Jay, hey, gun to your head, does Vladdy Jr. finish this 2024 season as a Toronto Blue Jay? He does.
Yes, I think he does. I feel pretty good about that. This feels like an off-season deal, more so than the Robert stuff to me. I do like the fit potentially with the Cubs for a couple of different reasons. I know he wouldn't necessarily be the defensive upgrade that they're looking for at third base over Morel's adventures. but he would be a substantial upgrade overall at first base on what Michael Busch has given them. And I think they have enough roster flexibility overall to make that work. More specifically, the Cubs have one of, if not the highest average launch angles, I believe, among National League teams overall as a unit. And I would be interested to see what, getting Vlad into that sort of scenario might do for his possible return to 40 homer seasons, if we still believe that's a possibility. But no, I think to your actual question, I think he's very likely to stay this season with the Blue Jays.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you get the sense that Vlad has any sort of Mike Trout gene in him where he's like, you know what?
Doesn't want to play in the playoffs?
You can look at it from that perspective. I will choose to look at it from if you're going to commit to me and you're going to be dedicated to me, then this is where I want to win. Then this is where I want to be. Or
where's the Mike Trout gene? I feel like Mike Trout didn't say like I want to win here. He was just like, I'm comfortable in this market.
Jared, that is quite literally what Mike Trout has said. He said, if I want to win here, I want to do it here.
Yeah,
I want to be here.
But so, how serious can you be knowing the organization?
Well, that's completely irrespective of what he said, though. We don't get to just act like Mike Trout has not said, I want to win here.
Vladdy has been to the playoffs multiple times now with the Blue Jays. So it's like, if Vladdy said, I want to win here, that means way more to me than Trout signing 2 extensions with the fucking Angels being like, I want to win here. It's like, okay, buddy. Yeah, sure.
Well, because you have the power of hindsight to see that Mike Trout has not gone to the postseason, but has still made that decision. And that's why I'm posing it now. Is because
but he played many, many years of not going to the playoffs when he signed.
No,
by the time he signed, it wasn't like,
when did they go to the playoffs?
Let's see where it goes from here. Like, we had a pretty good, like 2014.
14, right? Okay. But then after that, he signed an extension, correct?
Twice.
Okay, so he got to the playoffs, did not have success, and then said, I want to win here. Pay me the money, and I will stay here so that we can win here. Vlad went to the playoffs, did not win the World Series.
Yeah,
and I'm just asking, I don't know how it's not
the same thing.
I don't know how it's not. You've got two guys went to the postseason. 2 guys are now in a position to say, give me the money and I'll stay here. One of them did that. And now it's the other one's turn. And that's why I asked the question, does he have that in him to say, I've been to the postseason and I know I might get offers
Trout
elsewhere,
signed the extension
but give me the money here.
It's like, it's not like the Angels had any type of, it's all of the playoff stuff was before Trout even got there. And then by 2019, it was pretty well established. Like, we haven't gone and we're probably not going. And that ended up being the case.
Vlad Jr. has the Mike Trout gene in the sense that I bet he also likes $450 million. If the Blue Jays offer him a contract for $400 million, he's going to have whatever we want to call it. The I'm going to stay here and win gene.
Okay.
The I like $400 million gene.
So
that's what he's going to have.
That's the question.
But I don't think that contract's forthcoming.
Oh, from the Jays.
Or anyone of the magnitude that Mike Trout. Trout, we can say that it didn't work. Mike Trout's contract was still top of market or right there at the time that he signed it. Nobody's coming through with a Vlad Jr. market-setting contract, Blue Jays or otherwise. Never happened.
Well, I don't think that's not even part of the conversation. Like whether or not those contracts.
But it is part of the conversation because Mike Trout was issued a $400 million reason to stay in with the Angels. Nobody's coming through with an incentive like that for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as best we can tell. But whether he wants to stay or not is going to have many different influences than what Mike Trout's did because he probably couldn't walk away from that amount of money.
But Mike Trout had the decision to make. He knew that I'm going to get this amount of money roughly wherever I go. Wherever I go, I know that I'm going to have X amount of dollars that I can bank on. And I don't know why we're even having the conversation about Vladimir Guerrero and that not being the case. Like, nobody in their right mind would think that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right now is fetching a contract anywhere near what Mike Trout was given at that point in time. The question is, whatever the number is Vlad willing to just go, yep, I'll take it to stay here? Or is Vlad going to go, nah, I'm not interested. Let me test the waters elsewhere. That's
if they
the question.
pay him at the top of the market, then he will probably stay. That's what he's going to be motivated by. To your point, it's usually about the money. He's probably going to stay if they give him all of the money. If they don't, then he's more likely to test the market. I don't think that necessarily reflects the idea that he is or is not a winner or capable of producing in the postseason or wants to go to the postseason.
I'd be scared to test the market if I were him based on what just happened last winter, knowing what my skill set is and knowing what the trends of my career have been.
For sure.
Oh, they are looking
Like
for
the Blue
every
Jays can
opportunity.
definitely take advantage of that.
Yep. They're looking for every opportunity to devalue a player today. Every opportunity we can to devalue a player and lower the market thresholds, we will do. We will do. And he would be, because of the lack of defensive flexibility, I think he would be somebody that teams would be salivating over to have that conversation with. Give us the opportunity to knock down this dude's value, please. Because if we knock down his value, we knock down everybody else's value coming behind him. We start to reset the market.
Well, then he would. On this pace of Vladdy Guerrero's career arc, it looks like pretty good possibility he could just be a DH who doesn't even really hit that many home runs. So that's usually you don't get paid a lot of money for that.
By the way, the Trout extension, the first one was March of 2014. So he signed that before they made the playoffs. They made the playoffs that year. And then the second one was March of 2019. I don't know what, all right, I guess I can rephrase the question. If you're the Toronto Blue Jays, are you eager to sign Vladdy to an extension before he can test free agency? I know that he's having a good year this year. It's not a great year. It's not a holy shit year. Like we've seen that. But say you put out what Joey was saying, a fair market value deal, and he takes it. Aren't you like a little bit concerned about that? Where it's like, oh shit, like he doesn't think he can do better, you know?
Well, it could
like
be a combination.
If I'm the Blue Jays, like I'm almost trying to let it play out. Like, let me see what the market is for you. Like, let's have the conversation of like, can we at least have a handshake agreement of you come to us with the best offer you got, and if we feel like matching it, great. If it's something that we think is far above the value that we've set for you, then good for you, man. Like, go get your bag. But that's kind of how I'm approaching it. If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm not going to aggressively try to extend him. I'm encouraging him to go to free agency, knowing after what happened last winter, I mean, the number that we have in mind might be more than what you think that you're going to get from other teams. Like other teams are probably worried about, the weight, the age, the defensive restrictions, the offensive drop off, like stuff like that.
Well, that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what you do. Is you let that player go out and test their market and or create their market. And if they ever wanted to stay, if they ever wanted to be back, that will be communicated because you'll have the opportunity to just match whatever other offer is out there and say, well, everything being equal, which it looks like it is, it's really up to you, Vlad. Where do you want to go? Like if you're the Blue Jays, you're not the loser there. And you might be perceived as such because you didn't have that big pursuit of keeping him here. But for every reason that we've just outlined, I think you would understand, if you're the Blue Jays, why you would want this to play out in that fashion. Make us pay you.
People forget.
We're willing to. We are more than willing to. But make us do that. And it might sound harsh, but what are they saying? They're just saying, hey, go out and be the player that we think you are and that we think you can be. Because we will pay that guy, but we have to see that guy show up. And if he does, we can make that commitment. But
people forget
I don't know
Vladdy
that we're
won
just
Gold
going
Glove.
to create the market for yourself. I know I said it. I was talking with Dan Schulman the other day because the Jays were obviously just in town. And I started one of our segments off with Vladdy saying, let's remember the path to superstardom for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been paved in both silver and gold. Silver Slugger, Gold Glove defender. So like,
I see what you did there. Yeah.
Don't sleep on that.
Not
Don't
that
sleep
Matty
on
O platinum status, though.
No. That's reserved.
No. Jay, you had some thoughts on the 1982 American League East champion Milwaukee Brewers?
Yeah, I just there was a request in Reddit specifically because in previous years, I think going back to the previous podcast and then Baseball is Dead, where the Brewers run was kind of just the same thing over and over again every year. It's like we kind of knew what we were getting. It was a below average offense. It was generally a very good defense, and it was a frontline starting pitching at the top with a lockdown bullpen. And their point was that, this is a different type of Brewers team. And I do think that's fair and worth bringing up that, a couple quick notes, then I would be curious on your guys' take. They are last in Major League Baseball in innings pitched out of their rotation. They are first, as you would probably expect, in innings pitched out of their bullpen, which has been typically excellent. Their rotation, I think you could argue, is one of the 5 or so worst in Major League Baseball, particularly outside of Freddie Peralta. But their offense is unlike really any Brewers offense that we have seen in this, kind of, we'll call it the broader Christian Yelich era, where Yelly, despite missing time, has been outstanding on a per game basis, as good as he has ever been outside of his, we'll call it 2 MVP caliber seasons. They have the best offensive catcher in Major League Baseball. Where you think he fits as overall catcher is up for debate, but he's basically been the best offensive catcher, certainly in the NL this season, in William Contreras. Willy Adames is having like a low level all-star season, kind of under the radar. And then they're getting more out of some young players than I think a lot of people anticipated. Bryce Turang, one of those, hitting over 300 with a 369 on base percentage. And then one of the main pieces that they got in the Corbin Burns trade is Joey Ortiz. And thanks to some absolutely blistering play over the last couple of weeks, where he's got basically an OPS of 1,000, his overall season line is now 284, 379, 467. As a middle / corner infielder, there are 35 players in Major League Baseball with 1.9 or more wins above replacement per Fangraphs. Those 5 guys on the Brewers all fit that. They have 5 of the 35 as just one team. And they're a fun team. They steal a lot of bases. They're third in Major League Baseball in steals, getting on base while having more pop than traditional Brewers teams, even while Rhys Hoskins has been both kind of waiting to get on track for various reasons. So just wanted to shout out the Brewers, and I'd be curious if you guys have had parts that have stood out about them too.
Well, yes, and I'm glad you brought up the stolen bases, Jay, because for me it's been a combination of the power speed, right, that has brought the Brewers to where they're at right now, and the fact that it is also happening with a lack of the hallmark from the Milwaukee organization, which is just shoving it up your ass relentlessly. And that, while that isn't happening, to your point, again, I love the fact that you brought up the stolen bags, because the 86 bases are third in baseball, as you highlighted, the on base percentage as well, right? So you're getting on base at a 331 clip. That's third in baseball. You've also shown discipline as a group at the plate. Your 228 walks are good for 5th in all of baseball. So you're disciplined at the plate. You're getting on base. You're taking 90 feet at a time when you can. And you're driving the ball out of the ballpark as well. Like, this is, I think, a new recipe, and it's not one that hasn't been tried, tested, and proven to work before. But you're just watching the game circle back and cycle back to what it means to be able to put the ball in play consistently and be on base, and just not solely relying on only the power to provide your offense. They're getting creative. They're making offense happen.
And by the way, this is with the guy everybody was most excited about on their team in Jackson Chourio doing more or less nothing so far offensively. So, reason to be excited here. And from an offensive perspective, it's easily the most interesting Brewers team that we've seen in a long time.
I really hate that I'm about to do
this.
Which is
saying something. Oh, go ahead.
It is.
This is a complete aside and a total stray that is probably really unnecessary. But the Churio's contract, for a lot of conversations about the worst contracts in baseball, have we revisited or thought about the Scott Kingery contract?
No,
Scott
'cause
Kingery
it's just
also-
not enough money.
Is,
One
it,
of the- but it
is,
hasn't
is that
gone
what it
well.
is? Like, and I'm serious when I ask that, because that was my first thought, Jay, was like, is it because it's not $100 million plus? Is it because this wasn't like, I don't want to say a franchise pillar, but is it because none of that was surrounding the conversation that it's like, well, it's a $26 million nut that we're just kind of chewing on? Like, whatever. Like, is that why? Is it just about the amount and that's it? Like, how many other times would we see $26+ million contract get thrown around where you're like, well, where is that guy? Well, I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, no big deal.
It is it's the money. B, it wasn't he wasn't like first round top 10 pick. Like he was a second rounder. Like they took a gamble on a guy. And the other thing too, I mean, if you're not a Phillies fan, you're probably not as in tune with their prospects, but he had a concussion a few years ago and just like has not been the same since the concussion. No. I'm not making excuses for the guy. I feel like that's not something that he's going to come out and say, but I feel like that is probably something that is a contributor. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like you see what this was kind of at the same time, right? That the Braves were just drilling all of these contracts. Like they were kind of being like, not only just the first to do it, but they were nailing all of them.
All of them were hitting.
Yeah. And I feel like the Phillies were like, all right, let's identify our guy and make something happen here. And it didn't work out. Like it just didn't work out.
To me, the only takeaway here is that this is a big market team like the Phillies. This is why they sign these deals 100% of the time, is because when they don't work, even in the most catastrophic scenarios, which is from a production standpoint, what this Kingery thing has devolved into, it just doesn't matter. Would it matter for the Rays? Maybe. It doesn't matter for the Phillies, and it shouldn't matter. And to their credit, they've continued to spend, regardless of Scott Kingery's $6 million a year or whatever it is, hold on the books. But yeah, it's like teams love these deals, whether they're the Kingery deals or whether they're the larger versions for better players, because it's really, really hard for them to go bad. Did this one go badly? Yes. But it's like, it's almost a write-off for a team with a $200 million payroll. That's 3% of the payroll.
Where are we at with the Wander Franco stuff? Is that still being litigated, like the contract situation, and like whether or not the Rays are going to be able to recoup X amount of dollars there?
I have no idea. Haven't heard a peep on that in a long time.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've heard an update. But
because that's the other one. Like, you want to talk about a team that could not have afforded to wear that, and the fact that they'll be able to get money back, I think, is what will keep them out of harm's way for the most part there.
Could be. I didn't think we were going to get into Scott Kingery talk today, but here we are.
No, I don't.
Did not have that on the rundown.
Nope.
Yeah. Last thing for me today. I feel like Dallas, you may have some thoughts on this. Alex Rodriguez, you're familiar with him?
Yes. Yeah, shortstop for the no, that's Alex
Texas
Gonzalez.
Rangers?
That's Alex Gonzalez, shortstop for the Braves.
Okay. Very self-aware A-Rod on Fox when Big Papi, Derek Jeter, and A-Rod are taking a stroll through Monument Park at Yankee Stadium, and this conversation takes place.
Hey, Rod, when are we getting your number here? Papi, you have a better chance of getting your number retired than I do.
Ouch. Well, we'll just keep on walking, or maybe we'll stay right here because I hope you enjoyed that.
Papi asks A-Rod, when are you getting your number retired by the Yankees? And A-Rod says, you have a better chance of getting your number retired by the Yankees than I do. This is true, right? A-Rod, did A-Rod sue Major League Baseball or did he sue the Yankees? Both?
No, he sued Major League Baseball.
I thought he sued the Yankees as well, though, did he not sue the Yankees? I want to make sure I get this right. Alex Rodriguez.
Didn't he sue the Players Association?
Yeah. It was the baseball and the Players Association. That's what I thought it was.
and he won.
Oh, he sued the Yankees team doctor.
Oh,
That's what he did.
Fuck that guy.
Over the hip thing, right?
Yeah, during his for botching his treatment for a hip injury. Yes.
So
He
it
did
wasn't-
sue Major League Baseball. And he had a malpractice suit against the Yankees team doctor. Yeah. This was in he dropped it in 2014, but he sued him in 2013.
I just don't think we can overstate how surreal it is that in 2024, like if you would have told like 2009 era, 2011 era, whatever, Justin or Jared or Dallas Joey, that like A-Rod, who, as you guys just laid out, sued the league, sued the team doctors, was a PED disgrace, and has been disliked basically on every team that he's ever played on, would be arguably one of the central faces of Major League Baseball broadcasting. Every time I see it, I'm like, this is dystopian. This is genuinely unnerving. Putting aside the fact that the guy can't like just talk normally or just have a normal conversation. He's like an android. He's like, what would a human do in this situation? And then he tries to do it in the conversation. Putting that aside, it's just crazy that a guy who is persona non grata in his own sport is now the face of the coverage of the network that has the largest baseball package in the league. It's just crazy.
Capitalism, baby. Capitalism. Eyeballs, whether you're good at it or not, whether you deserve it or not. None of that shit matters in our society, man. None of that matters.
It makes me uncomfortable listening to him on TV. Like when he talks with Jeter, it's like,
Well, they hate
honestly
each other.
like- it's like
They're
they do, and
they're
it's like,
paid handsomely to get along on camera.
it's like watching two honestly human-like creations try to interact with each other. It's just like,
What do you
and
think-
Jeter's fine on his own. It's just like you put anybody with A-Rod. That's why Poppy's like so needed on that show, even though I don't love that trio overall. Because like when to your point about the coverage over the weekend, when they were previewing the London game from Yankee Stadium, it's like Jeter and A-Rod and Burkhart having some sort of like half-assed infield conversation. Like, hey, when you were standing at third, what did you think about? And, you know, they're answering these questions. Meanwhile, Poppy's running around the base paths being like, you guys suck. You know, it's like, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, that saved that segment because this was cringeworthy. Otherwise, listening to A-Rod try to talk to Jeter, it's just, I don't know. I honestly, it's one of those things I can't get over. I really can't.
I mean, you can say it 15 different ways, but everything that you just said, how you lay it all out, his position in the game, what he's done, the transgressions, everything. But Jay, you, my friend, and I have both operated behind that curtain. So you know why he's up there. You know why he's up there. That's our world. That's our society. And it's been that way for a long time. You no longer have to deserve it. You no longer have to be good at it. It just has to be about whether or not there's going to be an audience for you or with you. That's all. That's all it is. And I seriously wonder when that show pops up, what those executives, like, do they believe that that's working? And do they believe that that is good, that is quality content for what they're after? I truly wonder what their response is if they were to have to sit in the room and watch that
Jake,
unfold.
bleep this out. Jake, bleep this out.
Yeah. Bleep that out too.
Yeah, cut that, Jake.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Cut that.
Yeah. Okay.
What are we doing?
What?
That just the fucking
pod.
It's all right, buddy.
Great pod today, guys. Great pod.
Oh.
Joey, what's the next Baseball Doesn't Exist video after you got Angel Hernandez fired? What's the follow-up?
Dick.
How are you going to top that?
Whose job you coming for now,
Let's
Joe?
just say this guy's unemployed when it comes to, I don't know if he's unemployed, but it's an older player, veteran presence, stirrups, world champion.
Barry Zito.
Mad Bum video?
I already made a Bad Bun video.
I know.
Barry Zito video.
It's just,
They already made a whole movie about Barry Zito.
that's true. David
No,
Justice,
they
by the
didn't.
way, that was very funny. David Justice now just getting mad about the way that he was portrayed in Moneyball. The movie came out in 2000 and I want to say 8.
So funny, just being like, whoa, wait, what? What did they say about me?
2011. 2011. I still love that movie.
We could get
but
DJ. We could get DJ, no problem.
Let's get him on. Let's get them all on. I want. Weren't you just doing something with Mulder?
Yeah. I was with Huddy and Mulder. both
Hudson,
yesterday.
Holder.
Yeah, let's do a Moneyball expose.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a money. You know what we should do, which would be fucking awesome for the YouTube channel, is if we did like a Moneyball watch along with like David Justice and Mark Mulder and Tim Hudson. If they were just sitting there
With
being like,
those
"Yeah,
guys?
that didn't happen. Like this is bullshit." Yeah, people, I think baseball fans would fucking love that if we just
Oh
stream
yeah, like, hey, guys.
a live
this is
watch
my
along
favorite-
with those guys. Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, we have to let them know though. Like, look, you can't just sit and watch. We're gonna need you to be active in shit talking here about this entire production.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's something David Justice wants to do. He's campaigning for it. He's chomping at the bit for this opportunity. That'd be great. Let's work on that. A live Moneyball watch along with David Justice, Tim Hudson, and Mark Mulder. Can we get fucking Scott Hatterberg? Where is he? He's not doing shit. Jake, book Scott Hatterberg.
I'm texting DJ right now.
Text him right now. Tell him get in the 2002 Oakland A's group text that they got. Be like, yo, Miguel Tejada, where are you at? We need you for the stream.
It's a creative nickname, DJ.
Yeah. Get Chad Bradford up
stuff.
in this bitch.
We call him Justy.
Wait, Chad Bradford? You mean CB? You mean CB?
Yeah. CB.
I have never seen somebody so anti the baseball nickname as Jay Hay.
Wait, are you talking? I know, but when you talk to David Justice, tell Justy I said what up.
Justy.
I love it. I love it's
Terrence Long.
It's my favorite thing that you hate.
Yeah.
Terrence Long.
Yeah, T Long, baby.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've heard about Longy.
Yeah.
Longy. Yep. When you say David Justice, you got a DJ, but what about JD, Jermaine Dye?
Yeah.
Get him on here.
Yep.
JD, classic.
Mm-hmm.
Love how Hudson's real nickname is Huddy.
Huddy.
Too. Yep. Don't even have to joke about it.
What's Barry Zito's nickname?
Moldy.
Z.
Call him Zeet.
Yeah, Zeets.
Yeah, Big
no,
Z.
Mulder
Can fucking lock it in that it's Zeets.
Mulder was Big Sexy. Or the Natural.
Yeah,
What about Aaron Harang? They just call him the pug.
No,
the orangutan.
Yeah, the orangutan.
The orangutan. That's
an actual nickname. That's what we don't have anymore.
Yeah, the orangutan.
That's what this country's lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Ted
first
Lilly,
one of the
Ricardo
first right-handers
Rincon.
to just say, fuck it, here's 88, top of the zone. Go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you bring up Rinky?
Yeah.
Oh, Coney?
Carlos Pena. I mean, Carlos Pena, I'll probably see him next week. I'll be doing the MLB
CP.
Combine for the draft, the MLB Draft Combine in Arizona. He's a MLB Network property, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'll see
Tell
him there.
CP I said what up.
CP. Yeah, so by the way, I don't know how we're going to do an episode next Wednesday. I fly. I'm going to do Baseball's Dead on Monday, fly to Arizona, do the Combine Tuesday, and then I'm supposed to be flying back Wednesday. So unless we do like a night up, I don't know.
Oh, you just got to get up
early.
early. That's all. You just got to get up. It's pretty simple. You get up, you fly
But it
later
might
in
be
the
like
afternoon.
super early for you guys.
But are you talking to the only guy on the podcast that gets up before noon to do it?
My flight is at 11:50 My flight is at 11:50 Arizona time. Yeah, all right, that's
Plenty
doable.
of time.
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah. All right, never mind. We're good. We're good.
Or
Never
like
mind. Scratch that.
Like a 3A record, 3A Eastern time.
We'll do it at about 3:15 a.m.
All right, let's do it.
We'll figure it out. I get I get confused with time zones and shit like that.
Yeah. No.
So, Joseph, any final thoughts today outside of you doing a video on the 2002 Oakland A's?
No, I already did that. But I was thinking, like, when you guys were talking about that, maybe if we get those guys on, then Brad Pitt will come on for like a response.
Yeah.
But Jake needs to book that. That's gonna be on you,
book
Jake.
Brad Pitt.
But I got a final thought. I don't know if you guys are following the wind tunnels in Cleveland, but
Oh yeah, I saw that. You had that video go viral.
yeah, I mean everyone's talking about it now because of me, which is I'll take that. And but if you guys have been living under a rock and aren't on TikTok or X, the Guardians created a wind tunnel. If you look into the Guardians Stadium Progressive Field, previously known as the Indian Stadium, they used to have these massive shipping containers in right field, massive, and they were used for, I guess, like, I don't know, they were like it was like a standing room only section, but they got rid of the shipping containers. They had food and drinks. It doesn't get much better than that at the ball yard. All right. But they got rid of these shipping containers. So now these shipping, if you Google and look what it looks like, it was like there was a big wall in right field. Like it always looked weird. Progressive Field, when they had those in, it looks kind of like more like a European soccer stadium. I don't know how to explain it, but they got rid of them. So now there's not these big ass shipping containers in the way. It's just like open space, open outdoor bar. So now the theory is the wind is going right through that, creating a wind tunnel in right field. And if you look at these fucking stats, dude, it's pretty crazy. Last year, the stadium, Progressive Field, had the least amount of home runs in MLB. Last place. Right now, they're 15th place. Okay? If you look at, I found a few home runs. If you go to the video I posted, that it's this year, Jose Ramirez hit a ball, 92.9 exit velocity. Launch angle, 34 degrees.
That got out?
Max Muncy hit, yes. Max Muncy hit the exact same, 25-degree launch angle. I apologize. But it went 346 feet. Max Muncy, exact same dimensions, 30 feet less to right field. And these are stats from last week, so this is probably a little off, but there have been 40 home runs to right field with an expected batting average under 200, all in MLB. 40 times a season, someone hit a ball. The stat said expected batting average 200 or less. 10 of those were the Guardians. So out of the 40 home runs, 1/4 of them were at Progressive Field. Yeah, they've hit 10 alone. No other stadium has more than 4.
Do you think they knowingly did this, or do you think they did it and then are just obviously reaping the benefits and they welcome it?
They did it and they have reaped the benefits because Progressive is undergoing a huge renovation. They've been undergoing a huge renovation. So they are changing things there at the field. And like in left field, there's, this big glass wall like that had seats with a club seating and food and shit like that. And that's all going to be changed. So they're making a ton of renovations. They've changed all the seats, or the majority of the seats behind home plate and down the line. They still need to change the ones that are all the way down the line and then get into the outfield. But they've been undergoing this renovation. And it's funny because I brought that up when we first started talking about this to the Cleveland Guardians skipper, who happens to be a friend of mine. And I said, Voter, what do you got here, huh? You guys are knocking walls down and shit, trying to hit homers, moving shipping containers. And I told him, I said, I told the people that I just didn't think that Voter was that smart. I didn't think he was smart enough to make that decision, to make that move, which he laughed at. But yeah, there was not a confirmation nor a denial that was intentional. It was just oh, no, dude, what do I know? I'm not the one renovating the place.
It would be interesting, but I mean, it's hard to say that because it's like this should theoretically help both teams the same unless you have a certain lineup. I guess the Guardians were dead last in homers last year. They couldn't get any worse in homers. So if you want to say like we need to hit homers to get better, this is a surefire way to hit more homers.
Well, they also have
last
guys
year
in
they
their
were
lineup.
last. Now they're 10th. They're 4th in runs. They're in first place. They got third best record in baseball.
Jay, any comment on the allegations?
I think we'll remember this a lot like we remember the man in white.
In Toronto?
Yep.
I don't think it's cheating. Like, I'm not.
No one said it was cheating.
Yeah, like the man in white was cheating.
I'm not taking it as accused. Oh, we still think that was happening?
No, but like if it was happening, then that's cheating.
That's my point, is that I think it's mostly noise. I think it's mostly noise. And I think if to the points both Joey and Dallas have made about things shifting within the stadium, I think if anything, it's an indirect cause of that. And I don't think that they're going to ride a homer binge to the World Series necessarily.
Well, put it like this. They have 6 homers already out of the, I don't want to say already, 6 homers out of the center field position. And we've talked about it, but remember, Miles Straw was the guy that was roaming around in center field for a while and had a lot to do with sapping a lot of the power productivity from that group.
For sure.
Yeah, but if he was playing now, he'd probably have like 10 homers this season.
I
mean, who's the center fielder for the Guardians now? I don't know. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't think it's a big freaking massive dude who's hitting fucking 30 a year. I think David Fry. How many homers does David Fry have?
The majority of them.
See, I mean, I don't know much about David Fry. Doesn't strike me as a freaking, Mark McGwire-esque player.
Not a Fry guy, huh?
He's popping him over right field, dude. He's using the wind to his advantage, like any smart team, any player would. So I'm just saying, be on the lookout for that. If you want to, responsibly bet that the Guardians are going to hit a home run tomorrow or today, whenever they play at home, do it. I don't know, but check the wind.
Jay, any final thoughts? You get some nugs today?
Yes, please.
Sorry.
What happened? Oh,
dude, there was a blue jay on my balcony, and a massive ass crow just came and chased it away. Now it's squawking at me, dude.
wow.
Squawking.
I wonder if that is a message about whether the Blue Jays will be buyers or sellers at the deadline.
Wow.
Damn.
Couple of nugs from over the weekend. Adley Rutschman is the first catcher with multiple grand slams before the end of June since Bobby Wilson in 2016. Red Sox nug. Jarren Duran is the first player in 94 years since Kiki Kyler in 1930 to have at least 10 triples, 15 doubles, 5 homers, and 10 steals through his first 66 games of a season.
Jay, you wear the bet?
What's the bet?
If Jarren Duran breaks the Red Sox single season triples record, he has to get his nipples pierced.
Wow. What is the record? I don't know that off the top of my head.
20, I think 21.
Oh God.
Red Sox.
I think his areolas are
better
safe.
get those nipples prepped.
Triples.
Guy's
record.
got 10 in 70-ish games.
Tris Speaker hit the most triples for the Red Sox in a single season with 22 triples in 1913. Okay. What's his pace right now?
So he's got 10 through, 66 games?
Yeah.
So he's pacing to beat it. Triples are hard, though.
Triples are hard, but not for Jarren Duran.
No, obviously not.
No.
What a season. Kevin Gausman threw the first 9-inning shutout of his career over the weekend. It's also the first one by a Blue Jays pitcher with 10 or more strikeouts and 1 or 0 walks since Ricky Romero in 2010, and the first such shutout by a right-handed pitcher since Roy Halladay, rest in peace, in 2005. Corbin Burns and Ryan Pepio looking ahead here to games today. Corbin Burns and Ryan Pepio face each other. You will be witnessing two of the nastiest / most productive individual pitches in baseball this season. There have been 110 pitchers in 2024 who have thrown at least 100 changeups, and Burns' 0.34 batting average allowed is the lowest by over 60 points. Burnsy, yeah. Look out for Burns' changeup. And Pepe, as we like to call Pepio, there have been 86 pitchers to throw at least 300 four-seamers this season, and Pepio's 100 batting average allowed is the lowest. So by at least batting average allowed, the nastiest changeup and the nastiest four-seamer going head-to-head today. And then just to get in on the Aaron Judge conversation quickly from earlier in the podcast, 3 bigger picture stats nugs for you. His current OPS through his age 32 season, so for his career, would be the 16th highest in modern baseball history. So since 1900, his OPS plus across his age 30 to 32 seasons, which is 2022, 23, and 24, is 200 right now, 200 even, which would be the second highest ever behind only Babe Ruth, who put up a 203 OPS plus from his age 30 to 32.
But did he?
And did he? The only play we said, is it sustainable? He has a 217 OPS plus right now. The only players to post an OPS that high in modern baseball history in a qualified season are Ted Williams, AL/NL history, are Ted Williams, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Rogers Hornsby, Lou Gehrig, and Barry Bonds. 2 non-stats things. Paul Skeens. He will pitch prior to our next podcast. He's on the road right now, Tuesday at St. Louis. So very excited to watch his next start. And then Max Fried against the Orioles is also tomorrow, which is a start, given how he has, I believe, thrown 24 innings and 2 earned runs over his last 3 starts. So a lot of both quantity and quality for Max Fried. So excited to watch those 2 pitchers. Those are my final thoughts.
I have a nug to add to this.
Please.
I could be making this up. I don't think I am. But if the Orioles win tonight, it would be the first time that they swept a 4-game series at Tropicana Field in franchise history.
Wow. Nice nug.
Yeah.
You're fired from the Orioles broadcast for saying that.
Fuck.
That's true. Your mic's off, but that's okay. I still heard you.
Then how does that fucking make sense?
I don't know. It's coming through your laptop.
I don't have a laptop. Well, I do.
It's okay. You know what, Joe? It's fine, dude. You crushed it this episode. You know,
Good
shut
job.
the mic off. Who cares? Who cares at this point? Dallas, final thoughts today?
Entering that first complete game shutout for Kevin Gausman, I found it remarkable
Against the Oakland A's?
It was really more about his performance. You know, the team is it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But he had thrown 169 split fingers to both left-handers and right-handers. So a perfect balance of offerings on the split to lefties and righties. I always just like when I come across little shit like that. And shout out to Chris Bassett, who lowered his ERA at the Coliseum to, I believe it is now like a 2.39 or whatever, which is the second lowest ERA all time
For anybody named
at the Coliseum for guys with 250 innings or more. So shout out to Chris Bassett, who also did have a moment where as he left the mound for the final time, scooped up some dirt from the Coliseum mound, put it in his back pocket.
That was cool.
Just as a little, I'll take this with me because this place is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That was cool of him. Very same night, though.
Not hustling down the line. That was not the case.
Vladdy swinging a drive. It might be. It could be. It will be. A walk-off winner. J.J. Vladdy.
All that for nothing, baby. JJ Bladday, baby.
That's right.
All that pitching for Chris Bassett, who, by the way, he came out for the 8th, right? Did he complete 8? He completed 8?
He completed 8. Yeah, I was wearing him out the next day. It was great.
After the 7th, he was in the dugout with the hoodie on. I was like, he's done at like 90 pitches? That seems odd. And then he came back out for the 8th and shut him down. And the next thing you know, fucking JJ Bladday, baby, in the bottom of the 9th. The swinging A's. You ran into a buzzsaw. God damn. What a game.
Yeah, going into Sunday,
Speaking
the bullpen had their own one pitch.
Wow.
Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought up Bladday Bebe because I did some real nitty gritty research after that happened, and I found that JJ Bladday Bebe is the 7th player in the last decade with 5 or more syllables in his last name to hit a walk-off home run.
Wow.
So that's Bladday Bebe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Joining Christian Encarnacion Strand, Randy Arozarena,
Jared
Heimer
Saltalamacchia.
Candelario, Edwin Encarnacion, Jared Saltalamacchia, and Adeiny Echeverria.
Wow. And Saltalamacchia was in the playoffs too.
That's impressive stuff.
I believe we have inserted another syllable there. The day, the after Bladday. I mean, that was in celebration and acknowledgement of one afternoon. I'm not. If you want to make that, you make the nickname, but it's
you get
it's Bladday Bebe.
Yeah, you don't get to pick your nickname, Dallas. That's like a golden
Bladday Bebe. We have never one fucking time called him Bladday Bebe.
It like Dallas does it on the broadcast, but he's wrong. It's
not on this
JJ
fucking podcast. I don't give a shit what happens on NBC Sports.
Yeah, me neither, dude.
What does that have to do with JJ Bladday Bebe?
Nothing.
Baseball is dead.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not a goddamn thing. Yeah.
Dallas has nicknames and we have better ones here.
Right. And again, you don't get to pick your nickname unless you are Bones Crosby and you just pick your own.
Yep. Unless you're Cumberland Posey.
Oh.
Yeah. Big Cumby.
Then you
Big
go
Nut.
by Cum.
Yeah.
That was his nickname, the Big Nut. Yeah.
The Big Nut. Jake's takes?
For JC, JH, DB, JD, I'm JY. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Wow.